You know, there's a sound that every single homeowner dreads, that slow drip that suddenly turns into a gush. Or that feeling when you step on the carpet and squish. Yeah, not good. Water damage is just one of those things that can completely turn your world upside down. But understanding what actually happens next, well, that can turn pure panic into a solid plan. So let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. You open your basement door and there it is, an inch of water on the floor and you can see it's rising. Your heart just drops. What's the very first thing you do? What happens in the next hour or the next couple of days? That moment of total chaos is exactly what we're going to break down today. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this whole crisis step by step. We'll start with the common ways water gets into your house in the first place. Then, we'll look at why a specific area, Fort Mill, South Carolina, is a really interesting case study for unique risks. From there, we'll see how the pros turn that chaos into a methodical plan, dig into the actual science behind it all, and wrap up with how you can try to prevent this from ever happening to you. All right, so let's start right at the beginning. That moment water decides to show up where it has absolutely no business being. How does a disaster like this usually kick off? Well, a lot of the time, it's the stuff we use every single day without a second thought. That little supply hose on your washing machine finally gives out. Or the water heater that's been a silent workhorse for years just fails, dumping, 40, 50, even 80 gallons of water. In the winter, a sudden freeze can burst a pipe you didn't even realize was vulnerable. And of course, there's always Mother Nature, with storms that can totally overwhelm your home's defenses. Now, here's where things get really interesting. It's not just about what can go wrong inside your house. Where you live plays a huge role. We're going to zoom in on Fort Mill as a kind of case study to see just how much your location can stack the deck against you. You see, for folks in this part of the Carolinas, the threat isn't just a random leaky pipe. It's literally in the ground beneath their feet and in the massive weather systems created by the local river basin. It's a whole other level of risk. So check this out. The area is known for this heavy clay soil. It just doesn't absorb water well at all. So when it rains, all that water just sits there, pushing against foundations with immense pressure until it finds a way in. Then you have the Catawba River nearby, which basically fuels these pop-up thunderstorms that can dump a crazy amount of rain really fast. Add in some funky grading from all the new construction and older storm drains that can't keep up, and, well, you've got a perfect storm for water getting into your home. Okay, so the worst has happened. Water is pouring in. How do you possibly go from that crisis mode back to having some control? This is where the professionals step in, and it's not with guesswork, it's with a systematic, rapid-fire plan. Speed is absolutely everything here. The goal? To have a crew at your door within 60 minutes of your call. And there's a huge reason for that urgency. Every single minute that water just sits there, it's soaking deeper into your subfloors, your insulation, inside your walls. The longer it sits, the bigger and more expensive the problem gets. It's a race against the clock. And the whole process isn't random at all. It follows 3 really clear phases. First is that emergency response. You gotta stop the source of the water and get all the standing water out fast. Phase 2 is all about science, using specialized equipment to dry the entire structure. And then finally, phase 3 is the restoration, actually rebuilding and repairing whatever was too damaged to save. Okay, let's nerd out for a minute and dig into the science, because this is what really separates a professional job from just, aiming a fan at a wet spot. It's not about making things feel dry. It's about hitting a measurable scientific standard of dry. The whole industry basically operates by a rulebook set by an organization called the IICRC. Think of them as the ones who literally write the book on the science of drying. And their standards are what your insurance company looks for to make sure the job was done right, which is crucial for preventing huge problems like mold down the road. And this shows you exactly what I mean. Drying is a numbers game. Professionals have these very specific targets they have to hit. As you can see, wood framing has to get below 15% moisture content. Drywall needs to be under 12%. They use these specialized moisture meters to prove they've hit these numbers. There's no guessing involved. So, how in the world do you find moisture that's hiding behind a wall or under a floor? Well, this is where the cool tech comes in. Professionals use things like thermal imaging cameras, which can actually see temperature differences caused by hidden moisture. It lets them find every single wet spot so they can get it dry long before it has a chance to turn into a much, much bigger problem. And you should also know, not all water damage is the same. The source of the water is a huge deal. Category 1 is clean water, like from a burst supply line. Category 2 is what they call gray water, maybe from a washing machine. It might have some contaminants. And then there's Category 3, black water. That's the really nasty stuff, like sewage or floodwater. Each one requires totally different safety gear and cleanup procedures to keep everybody safe. So, we've seen the crisis, we've seen the cure, and now for what might be the most important part of all, how you can be proactive and protect your home from this happening in the first place.
Right? After seeing how disruptive and complicated this whole process is, the big question has to be, what can you actually do right now to lower your risk?
And the great news is, a lot of prevention just comes down to simple maintenance. Take a look at those appliance hoses once in a while. Make sure your gutters are clean so water flows away from your house, not down your foundation. If you have a sump pump, test it. Insulate pipes in cold spots. And probably the most important one, make sure everyone in your house knows where the main water shutoff is and exactly how to turn it off in an emergency. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. When water damage happens, that combination of speed and science is what truly saves your property. A fast professional response doesn't just clean up the visible mess. It prevents all that hidden, long-term damage, like rot and mold, before they even get a chance to start. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. We've walked through the causes, the risks, the whole scientific solution. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. Based on what you know now, is your home really ready?